Hey guys, the guest this week is Lance Hoyt, who is from Dallas, Texas, where I'm going to be doing my comedy show Thursday, July 30th. DallasComedyHouse.com for tickets. It's only a tenner, nice and cheap. We're going to have a blast. I'll see you there. But for now, enjoy the show.
This is The Art of Wrestling with professional wrestler Colt Cabana.
All right, another week. Come on, let's do it. How you guys doing? You're about to listen to The Art of Wrestling, a professional wrestling podcast. It's a life podcast. It's a personal journal. It's an entryway to the minds, the souls, the hearts, and the lives of the people involved in the world of professional wrestling. I am your host. My name is Colt Cabana. I am a summer boy. Barely. I'm trying to become a summer boy. Most importantly, I am a professional wrestler. I'm sitting here live in the studio, apartment in Chicago, Illinois. Before I go any further, this is a fan-supported and listener-supported podcast supported by people just like you. We give it to you free of charge every single Thursday. ColtCabana.com, iTunes, SoundCloud, wherever you get your podcasts from. A couple great ways that you can support, rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Tell a friend via social media or via mouth or via telephone. If you got a couple of bucks in your pocket, head on over to ColtMerch.com or DigitalColt.com. T-shirts, buttons, pictures, posters, DVDs, digital downloads, premium podcasts. It's all available there. It all helps the cause. Thank you very much. ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. Not much to get up to up front here. As you're listening to this, I am in the middle of a real busy weekend. Lots of traveling, lots of shows. My debut. I don't know how much this means, but my debut for Global Force Wrestling and a minor league baseball park. I will be hitting dingers. I will be eating hot dogs. Did you guys know? This is a little did you know, if you will. I'm a little sad that Necro Butcher isn't on the minor league baseball tour, as Necro Butcher has season tickets to his local minor league baseball team, and he's like a local mascot there, and he goes to every game, and he's like a real true fan supporter. He's the equivalent of what he's looking for you out of a wrestling fan. That's what Necro Butcher is to minor league baseball. Loves it. Loves minor league baseball. Loves Major League Baseball. Loves minor league baseball. I just love the fact that I'm going to be doing it for Global Force Wrestling this week. And last week was just July 4th weekend, so luckily I was able to go out on a lake. I was able to see some fireworks. I also took part of some professional wrestling up in Upper Wisconsin. Did you guys see my Instagram by any chance? I hope you did. I put it on Twitter too. I found myself in Mountain, Wisconsin. Now the promotion, this was just like Mountain, Wisconsin, local Mountain, Wisconsin, wanted to put on local wrestling before their fireworks. And I was told it was a town of 850 people. Mountain, Wisconsin. I stopped at 4 rummage sales on the way. So this was like a drive for me. And I gave myself some time on the way up just because, wanted to make sure I was able to take in the day, grab some sun while I was there. I didn't want to be in the car during the day the whole time. And it was Rummage Sale City. I think the best bargain I got was a Bart Simpson 1990 backpack for 50 cents. And like a little bit of me was like, ugh, I'm not shelling out the money. But then I just went in my pocket and I was like, oh, I've got 50 cents laying here. And so now it's just going to sit in the back of my car for the next 10 years. But I got it. It was a deal. I needed something to commemorate my July 4th weekend of professional wrestling, rummage sailing, tiny little town, Mountain, Wisconsin. I also felt it was weird because I'm like a big city Chicago guy, just moping around Mountain, Wisconsin. Like, if they only knew that I see thousands of people every day and I'm in a big city where there's like a lot of taxes and a lot of people moving around and it's just small town Mountain. I could dream all I want, but I had a match. I wrestled. It was fun. It was just one last weekend. An 80-year-old grandma kissed me on the lips. Kissed me on the lips, guys. This is how wrestling works. I was out there. I was the baby face. I was exciting. This grandma was like, whoo. And I was like, hey, grandma. And I started flirting with her. Why? Because if you want to get over as a baby face, you flirt with the 80-year-old grandma. Not only that, when the referee checks you and she's going, woo, you go outside the ring and you say, hey, you can check me too. Then you put your butt right in front of her and she rubs your butt. Now, all of a sudden, you're king of the grandmas. Also, king of Mountain. I just made that up. King of the Mountain, Wisconsin. Sorry, Jeff Jarrett. I know I'm wrestling for you this weekend. No offense. Then after the show, she's super excited. I'm now her favorite wrestler. She wants to take a picture with me. And I'm like, oh, hey, I'll give you a kiss on the lips because I'm such a mensch. And she's like, okay. So I go to kiss her on the lips while the woman takes a picture. And then she does the old Colt Cabana move ski, turns her head, kissing me on the lips. What do? I'm waiting for the picture. I kind of hold it a little bit because, like, I want her to get this picture. And I'm realizing I'm kind of making out with an 80-year-old grandma who definitely looks like my Grandma Julie to make it even weirder. But I think in the vein of Tommy Dreamer, you have to understand that whatever, man. Like, I probably would have, like, tongued her in the name of pro wrestling because it's just pro wrestling. Like, doesn't count. I'm on the job. This is wrestling. I'm in my leotard. I'm allowed to do it. I'm allowed to make out with 80-year-old fake my grandma. I don't know if Lance Hoyt's ever done that. He's my guest on the show this week. And Lance and I caught up in Japan. So Lance Hoyt, Lance Archer, Vance Archer in the WWE. He's had a lot of names. He's had a lot of time on the job. You don't really realize it. He, for me, he was one of these guys who was like, Jesus, that guy's been in TNA forever. And then we do talk about it. And he did have a lot of different gimmicks and eras. But I think, like, this is a guy whose time is now. He's signed with New Japan. He's doing a lot of work in Noah. Business in Japan is very, very hot right now. And I would say this, like, Lance is a guy who's, like, finally, like, came into his body. I know he was this tall dude who was kind of lanky, and he talks about that too. But now he's a grown man. He's filled into his body, and he's a big star over in Japan. Not all of us are fortunate enough to be big stars in America, and so some of us have to go other places. Lance has found it in Japan. He's doing well. This is a real fun chat. You'll definitely enjoy this. Lance and I are going to be on the same show this weekend, this Sunday in Houston. So come say hi. Let us know if you enjoyed the podcast, and take it in like the big, tall drink of water that he is. Song of the Week this week is brought to you by Harry's. Shaving can suck, am I right? Razor burns, nicks, it can be crazy expensive. Harry's is changing the game. It's about half the price of big brand blades, and they ship free right to your door. Stop paying $32 for an 8-pack of blades, all right? Pay half that price at Harry's, plus no more poor quality blades and no more locked plexiglass cabinets. The starter set is only $15. You get a razor, moisturizing shave cream, and 3 razor blades. Use my code WRESTLING, get $5 off. That's $10 and free shipping with my code WRESTLING. It's what I have in my bathroom. It's what I use to shave this beautiful beard that I got. Go to harrys.com and get that $5 off when you type in my code WRESTLING with your first purchase. That's HARRYS.com. Enter the code WRESTLING. Get that starter kit for only $10 and start shaving better today. All right, the song this week is called Wrestling Isn't Fake. It's predetermined by the band the Slobber Knockers at Slobknock Band on Twitter. Also the Slobber Knockers on SoundCloud. They got a lot of wrestling themed songs. Very good, very fun band. You'll enjoy it. And we'll be back with Lance Hoyt.
Wrestling's fake.
Wrestling's not fake!
It's Monday night and I can't wait. Gonna get some pizza, gonna stack my plate, gonna lay on the couch, gonna grab a grill. It's not much time, it'll start a few. It's Monday night and now it's time. It's new every week and it's always prime. Give it a chance, don't be ashamed. It's certainly better than football. Game! Pasta 316 said I whipped your ass. Rock Van Dam smoked a lot of grass. The Rock said Nero and shut your mouth. Michael Cole knows what I'm talking about. Nellas and O'Brien flying through the air. Ambrose is crazy and he just doesn't care. It's Monday night and if you're free, come watch Monday Night Raw with me. Have no fear, I've got some beer. Kick back and watch, this is top notch. I want to see a flying knee, a thumb to the eye, the Big Show cry. You know how I feel, this shit is real. Your reality shows are more bogus than you know. Give me a break, wrestling isn't fake. Much to your chagrin, it's only predetermined. But that doesn't mean that it's not real.
I'm sitting in a bed. You're on a chair.
Yes, I am.
Would you have rather had the chair or the bed?
Would you rather I sit with you on the bed?
It's been done before.
Has it been?
It's been done before.
That seems kind of weird and creepy, but okay.
There's not much room in these little rooms.
You're almost forced to sometimes.
What's the most?
That was a very Japanese response to you.
Yes, what's the most amount of people you've seen in one of these rooms before? Has anyone ever thrown a hotel party in a Japanese hotel?
Oh, heck yeah. Chad, Carl Anderson, and them do it all the time. So there's been a few times.
In a tiny-ass room like this?
Yeah, but I've only done it in like the Tokyo Dome Hotel.
Which I feel are bigger, right?
They're a little bit bigger. I think I've been in one time. It was just on the road. It was a very small one. There was like 4 of us, and it was, one person in that corner, one person in the other corner, one person in that, and you could have all just touched feet if you wanted to.
That could have been a game. I feel
it would have been a very weird and creepy game, especially the more drinks that we had.
Yeah, but I feel in Japan, the weird and the creepier, the better.
Yeah, it's accepted.
Sure. It makes all the sense in the world. Good. How are you? I'm good. Thanks
good, man.
for asking.
Thanks for asking for me.
What's the preference? Is it your Twitter is Lance Hoyt?
Yeah.
But what are we preferring these days? Archer or
well,
Hoyt?
I think even on my Twitter, I changed to Lance Hoyt /Archer just because I was doing the Lance Archer here, and then for whatever WWE fans actually remember my small fun run in WWE as Vance Archer, that just kind of closed the gap.
So in a perfect, you don't wrestle as Hoyt like back in the States, do you?
Yeah, I do actually.
Okay.
A lot of times, just because it's actually my name. Nobody can say anything or do anything about it. And then my TNA run, one of the names I had during my TNA run was my real name, Lance Hoyt. So some people actually remember that.
God, okay. What? Not that I'm a TNA historian.
Why not?
As I should be. I couldn't even tell you your other. Did you have more? Don't tell me. Did you have more than 2 names?
Yes.
How many names did you have there?
In TNA, 3.
3 names?
3 names. I almost had 4 names, but I had 3 names. I started as Dallas, which was almost. I almost got to keep my independent name when I started there as Shadow. And then they were arguing as to what they were going to call me, and they were going through all these different Tennessee names from Tennessee, different cities, and I was just, oh my gosh!
You got Jared's over here like, we'll call him Knoxville, and then and then Jarrett's like, no, he's gonna be I don't even know.
Oh yeah,
it's gonna be Nashville.
Florenceville. What? No, and then I think it was just like, well, where's he from? They were like, Dallas. Oh, just call him Dallas. Oh, okay, there's your name. And I actually had Shadow written on my pants, and at one time I went down and I went, I have Shadow on the pants, and somebody,
kid, you're gonna be the Dallas Shadow.
Dallas Shadow. You're gonna be really dark and big. I don't know. And then they were like, okay, well, somebody said, well, you need to go cover that up. So I did. And then I came back and they were still talking about it. And he was like, well, he's got Shadow in his pants. I guess it'll just be Shadow. And then I said, oh, I covered it up. And they went, oh, okay, you're not going to be Shadow. You're going to be Dallas.
Cover it up with?
Paint. They were leather pants. So I went and found some black spray paint, covered them up.
Did you have to go to the store, or is it like underneath the ring?
No, I think it was just in the building because it was at the old Nashville Fairgrounds, the old Asylum, and there was a lot of just trash laying around. So
they're sure. I mean, you were probably there.
I'm not talking about the fans. I'm talking about stuff around the building.
No. It's what a weird. I love. Were you ever around the Sportatorium?
No. It was gone. The only time that I've even seen where the Sportatorium was is me and Monty Brown were really good friends, still are. And he'd come and stayed with me for a few days in Dallas, and he's like, well, we got to go see where the Sportatorium was. And I was like, I have no idea. So we asked a few people, and they told us where it was. And now, it's just an empty field.
Oh, really?
And even now, they're, as they always are in big cities, they're completely covering everything up, and it's being built over and all that stuff. But yeah, we went, and he actually collected some dirt from the actual area where the Sportatorium was and stuff like that. And
which is funny because Monty Brown was a football player.
Yeah, but he's huge wrestling fan.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and a lot of people will give guys like maybe a Monty Brown and being like, oh, he's just a dumb football player. Mm-hmm. But it's so fun to hear that he collected. As a big a wrestling nerd I am, I don't think I would collect dirt from like the ECW arena and put it in a Ziploc bag.
He absolutely did, man. So he's got such a knowledge. He actually gives me a lot of grief because I don't know as much as he does as far as wrestling is concerned.
Well, I was going to say probably not knowing where the Sportatorium was, he could probably give you a lot of shit for that.
Well, I didn't grow up in Dallas, so I mean, the small town in Texas where I grew up was called Hearn, Texas. We didn't have wrestling on TV. I didn't even start watching wrestling until like 94, 95 when WCW was on, Monday Night Nitro.
So WCW was your first
real experience. I can remember being really young and having one memory of when the Undertaker locked the Ultimate Warrior in the coffin, and everybody was freaking out and trying to.
I would say casket.
Oh,
although locking someone in a coffin. Wait,
same thing.
Same thing. I was thinking the urn. Oh man, sorry. It would be a really big urn.
No, locked him in the casket, the coffin, and everybody's freaking out, trying to drill holes in it because he couldn't breathe and all that stuff. And I don't remember how or why I watched that and how that's a memory in my mind. But I wasn't a wrestling fan then, and it wasn't till Nitro and WCW and Sting with his whole the Crow persona, because I was a big Crow fan from the movie. That I actually started watching it on a consistent basis.
You had never even, like, Hulk Hogan wasn't even a thing.
I knew who he was, but I didn't know who he was. And I think more because of the old cartoon. Nice. I think that's the only reason I knew of Hulk Hogan. Right. I didn't see any of the wrestling. So I didn't know the history that Dallas had with the World Class and the Von Erichs and all the guys that had come through there and started there, including The Undertaker.
I don't know if you're a big regrets guy, but like, is there sometimes where you kick yourself and you're just like, why couldn't I have known and gone to a thing?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things like now being what I've accomplished, I guess, to whatever degree in the business and knowing the history of it and hoping that someday somebody remembers one of my simple runs in the business that, I do wish that I'd known more about it. And being that, Dallas is only a couple hours away and probably could have gone and seen wrestling on a more consistent basis and been exposed to some good history in the business. Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like there's some stuff that went down in Chicago. I feel even at a time like when I probably could have drove,
right,
and like I never saw it, and
right,
like it just still eats up at me.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't I wish, and that's why, I think there was no podcast around then. There was no internet, really. Right. I mean, there was, but like now that people have access to these underground things, and
you had to do the dial up and hear the
sure. I was
AOL online.
Were you an AOL guy?
I think everybody was at some point.
I remember. God, I went over it was like $1,000 bill. Like, if you went over that, the minutes and you wanted to come on.
Well, remember when the iPhone first came out and people didn't know you had to get, paying for the extra package? And
no.
It was like right when the iPhone came out.
I was very late to the iPhone. I was a sidekick. A T-Mobile sidekick.
You had the little flip over thing.
Yeah. And they had unlimited internet, I think.
Well, I remember when the first iPhone came out and everybody went and got it. I think Apple or AT&T had some kind of plan, but nobody understood what they were going to do on the phone, so they didn't know how they were going to. So people were, the first few months, were getting these $700,000, $800,000 bills because they were on their data, running their data. Sure. Like it was insane because this is the coolest thing ever.
People now are grandfathered into unlimited data, though.
Yeah, but I just heard that AT&T got $100 million fine slapped on them because of. I'm one of those grandfathered people, and basically, if you go past your normal data plan, even though it's unlimited, AT&T purposely slows down the feed. Oh. So they're getting fined big time by the FCC. Hit them up with it. Yeah, the FCC's hitting them up. So
sure.
Now AT&T's obviously trying to counterfile the suit and all that stuff. So it's just insane.
Well, I mean, way better than 1994 at least from now.
Yes.
So what I was saying is that the Sportatorium was, known as just a piece of crap, and just like you said, like the TNA Asylum was probably just a piece of crap. There's where you found the spray paint, right. But these weird places hold nice memories in our hearts as wrestling fans.
And I mean, it was my home for considering. I started in the business in late or mid 2000. Did about 3-4 years on the independent circuit in Texas, and then just started getting opportunities to go to TNA, which was doing the Wednesday night pay-per-view in Nashville at the Asylum, and just driving up there 9.5 hours by myself, hoping to get looked at in a job and work in a dark match or something. And
so you were one of the many that just were. You weren't recruited or anything. You were one of those drivers.
Well, I actually, I tried to go through Bill Barron's in Georgia at first. Some things kind of went down where it didn't happen, and then. Do you remember Lollipop, one of the cage dance girls?
I do.
She and I
for different reasons.
Okay, maybe we can talk about that.
Not for that reason.
No, okay.
I didn't remember her for her wrestling.
No.
I was very sexually attracted to her. I feel.
I think that was her job.
Okay,
so she did it well.
Yeah.
No, I just met her in an autograph session, and she was like, "Well, give me a tape and a picture, and I'll take it to somebody." And I was like, "Why not?" I didn't think anything of it.
Because you're a big dude.
Kind of tall.
Yeah, how tall are you?
Almost 6'7".
Okay.
Almost 6'7". But yeah, so she actually took it and gave it to Bob Ryder, and then Bob Ryder gave it to the right people. And then I got an email from Barron saying, all right, choose a date to come work an explosion match. And I did, and I went and had a match with one of the Harris brothers, which he was actually in control of all the making sure the building was ready and chairs were set up and everything that was under the ring needed to be under the ring, all that stuff. And so we barely even talked. And then when he finally came to me, we talked for about 5 minutes and everything was good to go. Had the match. It was really good. In my opinion, it was. But, he put me over. I did drive up there a couple times unbooked and just, put my face out there. And then finally showed up one time on a scheduled match, just, another explosion match. And then I was actually changed to be on the pay-per-view that night working with Kid Cash.
Was this when it was Wednesday night pay-per-views?
Yep. March. I remember the day, March 24th, 2004.
Why do you remember that?
Because it was my first break, man.
That's no shit.
Yeah.
Fuck.
I even said something to Jarrett recently. We were just doing an autographs thing for his new GFW, and one of the fans was asking something about, said, I was a fan since TNA. I was like, oh, yeah. I was like, Jeff gave me my first break back in 2004. And he looked at me and goes, damn, has it been that long? I was like, yeah. It's showing our age, I guess.
Right. Well, no, especially for Jeff. Okay, so tell me, before we get into that, Hearn, Texas. Small town?
Very small town.
How small is small?
5,000 plus people.
I don't even know. Is that what was in your high school class? How many?
Graduated on paper 88, actually walked 66.
Because why?
People not being there, or, on paper they were graduating, but they hadn't actually completed the specifications, qualifications.
This is just me being a Chicago asshole. Was it like stupid redneck Texas people that didn't graduate, or
I don't know. I think some of them might actually have been. They just were supposed to graduate. They were on paper written down you're graduating, but they didn't get all their grades, and so they had to take summer school, whatever, to actually complete if they.
Who's the most recognizable person out of Hearn, Texas?
I feel bad for saying this, but I think he's in the Hall of Fame. John Randall. He played for the Minnesota Vikings. He was a big old bad defensive end. Yeah, I mean he was. If you're an NFL fan, he was defensive end for Minnesota Vikings for years, and I think he's in the Hall of Fame now. Multi-time All-Pro.
Is there anyone? Is it a big sports town, or is it just like John Randall's known as like the king of Hearn?
I would think he's kind of known as the king. Him and his brother both played NFL football. Irvin Randall was his brother's name. They both came out of Hearn.
So the Randalls ruled Hearn, Texas.
They did, and here's a fun story. So my dad is a pharmacist, but when he was young and the Randall brothers were small boys, if you've ever heard his story.
He would give them the steroids.
No.
Is that, oh, no, okay.
Maybe other stuff. But so my dad's a big hunter, like bird hunter, like dove hunting. So when my dad and his dad would go dove hunting, they would go get the Randall boys because they lived in Gause, Texas, which was even tinier town near Hearn. Legitimately had dirt floors in their house, things like that, and grew up dirt poor, literally. But would go and pick them up. Some people might claim it to be racist, but it's not. He would go and pick them up. They would go dove hunting, and the boys would be the bird dogs. They would go and grab the birds when they would shoot them out of the air. Collect them and whatnot, and at the end of the day my dad would just give them like half the birds or most of the birds so they could take home and eat, and he provided and helped out with his family as far as if they needed medication and whatnot. Kind of small town mentality, not necessarily needing money for it, but more kind of in trade sometimes if they needed it.
Yeah, but isn't giving them birds did he think these guys need some birds to eat? Is that what it is?
Exactly.
Yeah.
They didn't have, again, dirt poor, didn't have money, didn't know when they were going to eat. And if you've ever had Dove, it's actually really good.
Never had Dove. Well, good chocolate.
Yeah.
Is that what this turned into?
Slightly different. Chocolate's a little more interesting or good to eat, and Dove is just more meaty, gamey.
People eat Dove.
Oh, absolutely, man. You just got to pick the BBs out. Otherwise, you're kind of chewing on metal.
I guess people eat bird, but... Right, so they eat chicken and turkey, but if you think about a bird flying in the air, I just think of a little bird.
Right. Well, dove have a big old chest. So if you shoot a good, nice big one, you pluck it off and spin its head off, and that's the fun part. And if you clean it and cook it the right way, if you get enough of them, you can actually make a meal out of it.
Huh.
Yeah. It's fun.
Is that what Friday
I used
night?
to go dove hunting all the time, but it was more fun for me just to blast off the shotgun because you get 3 shots per shot, and it's pow, pow, pow.
And I feel
most of the time I missed everything.
If you're a kid, given a shotgun is probably the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah, until you shoot at your dad and he gets mad.
Did you shoot him?
Not shoot him, but instead of shooting up, I was shooting more in a straight direction, which was more towards him. And he was probably, a couple 100 yards off, but a shotgun blast, and then he's getting pelted with BBs as they come down.
Right.
Because I wasn't shooting high enough.
Yeah.
And he'd start yelling from 200 yards away, "Stop shooting at me."
Yeah, it's scary.
For me, I didn't know. I'm just like,
Sure. I remember I went to overnight camp and I had and I was taking archery and I like turned around with the bow and I was like banished forever. I think I cried. I was 9. So I get it. Don't point weapons,
things at other people. Yeah.
except for the whatever. So did you play sport? Were you a basketball guy?
No, I played football.
Football.
I did play basketball my senior year, but it was just more for the letter. The coach liked me, and I actually started a bunch of games because I'd get the tip off, pass the ball to somebody, they'd immediately call timeout and yank me out of the game until we were like beating the crap out of somebody at the end of the game. All right, Hoyt, go in there, shoot everything you can, and I'd miss them all.
But you were like, especially like you're athletic, and especially with the wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you think like 6'6", you're just like an athletic dream. I don't know, or like a sportsman's dream.
I try, but I still consider myself a tall, lanky guy, and back then it was even lankier.
I'd imagine.
So I loved football. I was trying to be a quarterback. I'd go up to our high school field, and there'd be like one light on the field, and I'd go hang a tire from the goalpost and just try to throw.
Texas is high school football, right?
Yeah, and I only started my senior year, but then I tried to go to Howard Payne University, which out in West Texas. Was on the team for a couple years, then transferred to what is now Texas State University in San Marcos, and was on the team for 1 year. And I think that's when, once I got out of football, is when I really looked and searched for wrestling.
Was it a search?
A little bit, Shawn Michaels had a school in San Antonio.
So wait, so did you graduate or did you just
From college?
Yeah.
Yes, I have an English degree, BA in English.
meaning English teacher, or
I could be. I have to get different certifications.
or you just learn the language there?
Yeah, I have an English degree. If I wanted to be a teacher, I'd have to go get certified to teach and whatnot.
What was the goal? Or was the goal just to play football?
I think the goal was to play football, and as far as school was concerned, if football didn't work out, I was thinking about being a teacher and a coach.
Just grabbing a degree.
Yep.
I think a lot of
it was one of those things. My dad was just really big on go to school, please finish school, graduate, because he actually started college when he was young, then dropped out, went to the military, and then finally went back before he got his pharmacy degree.
All right, so you get the degree,
Mm-hmm.
right to wrestling.
Well, actually, I hadn't graduated when I started training for wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was still in
then
school.
You were ready, but football was over.
Yeah, football was over. Like I said, I was working in a nightclub in Austin, Texas. Football was over. I was still going to school, because my family, that's what they wanted me to
What were you
continue
doing in the nightclub? Bouncing?
Working, man. Bouncing people out when they were acting stupid, and then dancing when they would let me.
Are you a good dancer?
I'm a damn good dancer.
Really?
I can break a move like you ain't never
What
seen.
does that mean? What's you go to?
I can pop and lock probably with some of the best. I can't do any of the floor work. I can't spin on my head or anything like that, but I can make you go, how in the hell are you moving like that, dude?
I'm so intrigued.
Actually,
Do you go out in Japan in Roppongi?
I haven't had a chance to really go dancing anywhere in Japan, but one time, me and MVP were traveling with New Japan. I don't remember where we'd stopped, but we went out to eat. We're coming back, and there's a big bridge crossover from where we were eating to where the hotel was. And there was a big open space, and when we came back, there was all these lights on. We could hear music playing. We walked up, and they literally had like the cardboard floor set up, and there was like b-boy crews battling each other. And we're standing there, and like one of them comes up, like, "Oh, come here!" And they just wanted me to stand there and look intimidating for their crew. Mm-hmm. And then MVP goes, "Oh, no, he can dance." And they went, "Hunto, okay." So sure enough, they're playing the music. A couple of the guys are dancing. They're battling back and forth. And they're like, "Okay, go." So I jumped out there and started dancing. MVP filmed it. So if you go on MVP's YouTube page and watch session 8, I believe it was,
wow.
there's a clip of me dancing.
I was just going to say, I hope, that'd be amazing if it was on film.
Yeah.
But
I danced at TNA, too. We're talking about one of my infamous runs.
Was this after Dallas, before Lance Hoyt?
No, this was Lance Hoyt, and it was me and Ron Truth Killings. And, Ron had his, what's up and dancing thing going on. And Vince Russo, I think once we were backstage, and I was just walking through, and he's like, "Hoyt, what you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, nothing much." And he's like, "Hey, somebody told me you can dance." And I said, "Yeah, I can dance pretty good." He said, "Bro, you gotta dance." I was like, "Okay, so when are we gonna do that?" And it was
which should be the name of Vince Russo's website, by the way.
Bro, you gotta dance.
You should dance.
And it was, so we did the debut of the dancing. It was it was TNA's first road pay-per-view, the first real big thing they tried to do outside of the Impact Zone in Orlando, and it was in Detroit. It was a pre-show match, and I kind of feel bad for Bobby Roode actually in the whole situation, because he'd been
just in general, or
actually having to work me and things like that. But he'd been on TV. They'd been, he's going to debut this new manager. They'd brought in like Sherry Martel and Ted DiBiase and all these people. Oh, this is going to be my new big manager. And then he debuts, and it wasn't any knock on Tracy Brooks, but Tracy Brooks was going to be his manager. But instead of doing it on the pay-per-view or at TV, they did it the pre-show for this pay-per-view. I don't remember the name of the pay-per-view either, but
that's kind of weird.
Yeah, it was very strange. So he and I had a match. It was fun. Match was over. He beat me. Tracy slaps me. He starts to beat me up. Ron makes the big save. We chase him out of the ring, and then I dance.
Bro.
It was bro. I got it.
Over the God mic, it's
yes.
bro, you should dance.
That's how that TV show is. So you think you can dance.
Yeah,
it's actually Vince Russo's mind child.
I'm going to show you this clip, but I watched the other day of this guy from one of the dancing movies, this white dude who's
you were
amazing.
watching Magic Mike. I got you.
I do like Magic. I'm excited for Magic Mike XXL, but that's just me.
You'll have the windows closed when you watch that one here in Japan.
No, I'll give these Japanese people a nice view of me watching that movie. But this guy puts on this old mask, and it's like an old man, and he's walking around, kind of like how Johnny Knoxville does.
Oh yeah.
And he just like, it's a bunch of like black dudes just dancing, and like he just gets in and he starts kind of like hopping around. They're all like, "Oh, that's amazing!" Like he's just doing like an old man move, and then he just busts out these moves.
Just
and,
goes
like,
nuts.
They go crazy, and it's amazing. Same way I picture all these guys going crazy for you.
Yes, because I think it's an interesting sight when they see 6'7" guys and go great, a little nutty on the dance floor,
just moving, excellent,
popping and locking and grooving, baby.
You are you dance. Sorry, so you dancing in you're dancing in the place, You're bartending.
No bartending,
bouncing.
I couldn't pour drinks.
No,
not in the glass anyway. Girls didn't need it anyway. You just kind of poured it on them.
Yeah, fair enough.
Sometimes.
I feel that's a skill that can be easily taught. Yeah. Maybe not. No offense to any bartenders out there. So you're in Texas. Yeah, you're done. So like, were you? Oh, so you were training while in school, which is good because like, right? I wrestled while in college, and like, I just felt like after graduating college, I knew like there was something I could obtain in wrestling, as opposed to. There's people who graduate college, wait a year, and like they're just like, well, what do I do with my life? Right. So at least you had in your mind, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was where I started training was in Austin, Texas. Again, so Shawn Michaels had a school in San Antonio. I actually applied, because you could apply online or mail in the application and whatnot. It just started. I think they'd just run their first class, which I think like
Spanky
and Brian, all them guys were in. So this was going to be their second class. I'd literally had an automobile accident like a day or so before, driving down a hill, raining. Somebody slid into my lane, hit right behind my door. Luckily, didn't get injured or anything, but my car was totaled. And Shawn's mom, who ran the books for his school, calls me at the exact same time that an adjuster was in my house about to walk outside and tell me how much they were either going to give me for my car, if it was totaled or whatnot. She calls. She's like, "Oh, this is Carol, I think is her name." She's like, from Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy.
This is the Heartbreak Mom?
Yes, the Heartbreak Mom. Just to let you know that you can come in and pretend to be the Heartbreak Kid for a living. And I was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it now. I was like, I'm literally going to look at my car that's been totaled. And she's like, oh, well, let us know. We'd love to have you in the class. It's only $3,300. And I went, only? How do I pay that? And she goes, well, you pay it in 3 installments. I was like, so I got to pay $1,100 a month for 3 months to pay it off? Wow. Yeah, only 3 months. And I was like, yeah, I'm a poor college kid. I don't think I'm going to be able to afford that. And she's like, well, if anything ever changes, you let us know. So I thought that was kind of the end of my possible dream as professional wrestler.
That was it. You're ready to give up.
I was done. But then the owner of the club that I worked at knew a guy who, funnily enough, went and tried out for Shawn's school. They basically told him he was the shits and should join the school.
Wouldn't even take his $3,300.
No, they would take his $3,300. He tried to say that he was a wrestler, went and did a tryout because he just wanted to wrestle, and then they're like, no, you're not a wrestler. You need to go through training. But he had money, we think drug money, and decided to open up his own school in Austin, Texas. It was called the SWWF, the Southwest Wrestling Federation.
Now that's like what you hear these old time vets of saying, like anyone could just open up their own. fail at a thing and they open up a school. That's literally what happened.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what happened. Case in point, exactly. So he actually started his place, and I hadn't started there, but like Paul London actually started at this place.
I remember hearing about this place.
Ivan Putski was one of the trainers when he started and all this stuff. But by the time I got there, which was like 6 or 7 months later, Ivan was gone. Paul had already said, screw this place, and was running around, starting his career. And then there was one guy that was training me, and he was a very nice guy. Is Solo Faitala, Samoan cat, who just done independence, kind of did another run through of training with Ivan, so he kind of had an Ivan Putski mindset as far as his training was concerned. And then there was one other guy who became a friend of mine named Jason Baker, and Jason and I just beat the crap out of each other for, every other day.
So the guy that opened the school wasn't training you, though?
No. He just had a school, and it was a decent facility. There was a ring and some weights and
so what was his
trampoline.
Mentality? Like, if he's not the trainer?
Well, he was going to have the next biggest company in the world. That was his thing. Right. Even on his cards, there was like, this was back when WWF, ECW, WCW, they all existed at the same time. So, on his cards, it was like there's WWF, WCW, ECW, and then the SWWF. We're the fourth biggest company in the world. And I was like, as a kid who didn't know any better, I'm like, hell yeah, I'm a part of the fourth biggest company in the world. This is going to be amazing.
Really? They were, okay.
And I guess he ran a couple shows again before I got there that had, like 1,500 people come to it for an independent show. And
well, wrestling was hot back then.
So all I heard was about all these big things, and like I said, his facility was decent and stuff. So I was like, oh man, this is going to be great. I'm being part of the fourth biggest company in the world. This is my star has been lit. Let's go. Mm-hmm. And I had no clue what the BS was being spewed to me from him. And at first, it sounds great, but then you hear it over and over and over and over. And
well, it's kind of good that you have the BS-ometer early. Well, a lot of people never get out of it. At least you recognized.
Well, it took me a while though. I think it does everybody. At first, you're like, oh, this is amazing, and then after a while, it's like, well, you've been saying the same shit. Oh, excuse my language, over and over and over, and nothing is changing. So, what's the deal? I mean, I had my first match a month after I started training. Mm-hmm. I didn't know any better. I shouldn't have done it, but
well, I think I had mine a little over a month. Mm-hmm. But I think my training was not a little bit different, but I trained whatever. I was there every day. Mm-hmm. And they put me with a veteran who was like 10 years in, and he literally it was like a practice match, but so
kind of the same for me.
Yeah, I don't like regret going in.
I don't
to the match early.
Yeah.
Well,
but now knowing, I think how long it takes really to get even the smallest grasp on what we do. Now I would say a month after training, there's no way. Even if you with somebody that can kind of walk and talk you through it, and that's fine, but. Back then I was just I'm wrestling. Let's go. Let's do it.
Well, who was the first match?
His name was Tarzan Taylor. That's a great name. Probably took about 10 minutes, not getting in the ring, messing with the crowd and all that fun stuff.
Were you a goodie or a baddie?
I was a goodie.
Okay, what'd you wear?
Not very good at being a goodie, but I was a goodie.
What'd you wear?
I think I had like leather pants. I very test-like. Okay. Which, most of my early career, especially, I was compared to him on a consistent basis. I think I even still have a picture of my first promo pic, and it's literally wearing the tight, spandex type of shirt that now is kind of the Under Armour style. But the sleeves cut off, the leather pants with the sunglasses, with the hair down, test almost exactly.
Right.
So, I remember somebody filmed the match, and they were sitting there, and they were a friend of mine, and I heard somebody on the side of him talking to him. I was like, hey, who's that guy? And he was like, oh, that's my friend Lance. He goes, Lance? What kind of wrestling name is Lance? That's horrible. Just you could hear it. That was the commentary for my very first match, which was, it's amazing. My name is the worst name in wrestling compared according to this guy.
Yeah, that would almost be a fun project to do, is just go back and watch all your first matches and try to listen to all the audio of the people around you.
I have it on tape somewhere. I have no clue where, and maybe I should never bring it out, but it's there somewhere. If somebody ever, for whatever reason, chose to make some kind of greatest moments in Lance Hoyt, Lance Archer, Dallas, Shadow, Breakdown, Lance Steele, Lance Archer, Vance Archer, history.
You and Gallows have a lot in common, don't you? Do you guys ever
way too many names? He just combines all his names. Luke Gallows.
He's got there's a handful more just sitting in there.
Oh, I can't.
Did Shadow come because you straight because of that comment?
No. I there was a company in Dallas, Texas that ran. It was actually a really great place. It was called PCW, Professional Championship Wrestling. They ran for a little over 10 years. They ran a weekly show. They had
Arlington, Texas.
Arlington, Texas. Yeah.
Impressed with that?
And they, yeah, it was good. I like
that. I knew that.
Yeah, it's right there. Well, I mean, you're a baseball fan, right?
No, I know because I remember you were on the TV show on the History Channel.
Okay.
For when they ran in a movie theater.
Well, that was it. Yep.
On the Learning Channel. I'm sorry.
Yeah, the short-lived Bussy Bunch.
Is that what it's called?
The Bussy Bunch. You know, because the family's the Bussys, and they run a gym that they've run for nearly 30 years. Did wrestling for 10 plus. Now they're really big into MMA. They have a company called XKO. Like I said, we did have TV in Dallas on a weekly basis. So for a learning experience for a young guy, it was great because, you know, the movie theater was set up. We had at one time 2 screens, and before it was finished, we had 4 video screens, and 2 of them played entrance videos, and 2 of them played a live feed of what was happening in the ring. And, you know, you got to film the vignettes and everything before and after. And, you know, everybody had specific entrance videos towards their character. And when I actually showed up there, I was Lance Steele. Well, they had a Lance Romance and a Jared Steele.
Wow, I remember Lance Romance.
Yeah,
I remember the name.
Yeah, and he's out, and you know, and so they were like, "Well, you can't be Lance Steele because we have Lance Romance and Jared Steele." And I was like, "Shadow," and they're like, "Are you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, I want to be Shadow. I want to be this dark character." It worked really well.
But you had thought of Shadow, like you had some back pocket stuff, right?
I actually tried to pitch that when I first was Lance Steele, and the guy was like, "No, you're gonna be Lance Steele," and I was like, "Okay, whatever."
But we have Shadow Jones and Frankie Shadow, so you can't
be that.
Yeah.
So it was fun for me because, you know, so we got to film all the fun vignettes, and I had a group called the Dark Circle, and like I said, because it was a weekly show, I didn't travel a lot because I didn't have to, because again, it was every Saturday night at the same place on a weekly basis. We were drawing 300-400 people.
And how far was that from you?
5-10 minutes.
Oh my God.
Well, when I first started, I was living in Austin because I was still going to school.
Yeah.
But then once I finished school and graduated, I moved to Dallas because instead of driving 3 hours from Austin,
That's the dream.
Yeah.
It's 5 minutes from your house.
Yeah.
Did you only wrestle Saturday night, or like did you start getting more work after?
No, it was really just Saturday night because, you know, I the independents, and it was Texas, and there are some, but Texas is so big, so everything's 4, 5, 6 hours away. And
did you feel that you were like paying dues though, like knowing that you were just 5 minutes away, or?
Well, I didn't know any difference.
You didn't know the lifestyle.
No, I didn't know. I had no clue because, like I said, for me, it was just, you know, oh, this great opportunity. It's on TV. I get to film this stuff. I feel like a big star. Weekly basis, 300-400 dedicated fans every week. 5, 6, 7, 800,000 for what we, you know, big shows, themed shows. So
wait, you had that many people?
Yeah, I mean, they would run like every 3 or 4 months. They would run a themed show. So all the storylines from the weekly shows would run into Genocide or Heroes to Legends. You know, these are the names of the bigger shows.
And they'd have thousands of people.
Like 1,000.
Okay.
Yeah, anywhere from like 700 to 1,000, depending on the show and what we set up. But on a weekly basis, 300 to 500 people, which was awesome.
When did you realize, like, oh, this is... I got to start making a move. This isn't, I'm a little content. Is that what it was? I was a little content with this? I got to grow as a wrestler?
No, I absolutely, you know, obviously still a big fan, had started watching more WWF at the time. One of the same autograph sessions, I met Al Snow. We hit it off. I was working in a nightclub, so that was really my thing. I wrestled on Saturday, but I worked, you know, more or less full time at this nightclub the rest of the time. And he came and hung out, like him and Ivory, and I don't remember who else came to the club, and I took care of him, made sure, and he's like, well, here, give me a call, see if I can help. And one of the times before that even happened, I remember WWF was in Austin, and I just basically walked backstage. Like, just didn't,
you looked the part?
I didn't stop. I just walked by everybody. They went, oh, okay, I guess he's supposed to be here. Sat and watched the show for probably about an hour and a half.
In Vince's office, or what?
Yeah. Kicked it with old VKM. No, I was just sitting in front of the monitor watching it, which I probably should have been a little more hidden because I was dead center, front and center, right in front of the screen because I'm just like, this is amazing. Had a big, long conversation with Ivory, and I remember Eddie Guerrero, rest his soul, walked by me probably like 3 or 4 times and just gave me the stink eye, like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Why is he here?
Yeah.
And so finally one of the security guys comes up to me and he's like, excuse me, who are you? I was like, oh, I'm
Shadow.
Yeah.
Shadow.
I'm Lance Steele. And, you know, he's like, who? And I was like, you know, Lance Hoyt, and I'm with the SWWF. And they said that if we come and don't bother anybody, I was completely making the story up, that it was okay. And he's like, with the who and what? And Ivory, who I'd been talking to for about 45 minutes, goes, no, he's the SWWF. He's good. He's okay. And they went, yeah, I don't think so. And I was like, should I go? And they're like, yeah. And I was like, okay, bye.
Take me through hold on. Like, going into that day, you were just like, All right, I'm just going to do
going.
this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because somebody did say that to
No.
you.
I was just like,
Where did you get that idea from?
I just like, I'm going to go. I'm going to see what happens. It was legitimately, it's like, they're in town. I was like, I'm going to go. I don't know. I don't have any contacts. What's the worst thing that's going to happen in my mind was like, they're going to kick me out. So
And blackballed forever.
Well,
I would have thought that.
They didn't know who the hell I was.
Yeah,
and I didn't know what blackballing was back then. I
Right.
was just like, I knew what blue balling was, but that's because I was in college. Yeah, I just literally went and parked in the parking lot, which I pulled up and went where the wrestlers park, and they went over there. So I went and parked where all the wrestlers had pulled up and parked. Sat there probably for about 45 minutes trying to get the balls to go do it.
That's what I'm thinking. Yeah, you can't just walk in.
And then finally, no one legitimate. I had watched some people walk through and where they'd walked in and whatnot. I was like, all right, I'm just going to, if I pretend like I belong, they'll think I belong.
But it's that 45-minute where you scout it out. You talk.
Oh,
You're like,
yeah.
should I do this? Should I not do this? This is
yeah.
weird. Fuck it. All right, I'm going to do it.
Exactly. All that crap went through my mind, man. I was sitting there and scared shitless. And I was like, all right, finally. I was like, I'm just going to go. Either they're going to tell me no or I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So I walked in and they had like a little security area and I just went out and kind of waved. They went,
I'm here, guys. I'm here.
Yep. Yeah, nobody stopped me. So I just walked in and like I said, I found the monitor and just kind of hung out in that area. And then when they were filming like, I don't even know if it was Sunday Night Heat or Velocity or something beforehand, and like Midian was one of the matches and stuff like that. And so I was watching that and Raw had started and like 30 minutes into Raw. Again, I'd been there all before the show started while they did all the pre-show stuff. And then, Raw started, and it was about 30 minutes after Raw started that finally,
That's very funny.
Guerrero went and told somebody,
Sure.
like, I don't know this dude.
Yeah.
Get him out of here, And I wasn't bothering him. I was sitting there talking to Ivory, but I was dead center front of everybody watching the monitors. So
Had you done it again? But
I was holding court is what I was doing.
yeah, but it's pretty good. Like you say to yourself, had I done it again, I would have been more in the back. But
Yeah.
you made it pretty far. That's pretty.
Yeah.
It's good on you.
And so that was pretty cool for me. And like I said, I think I tried. I think that in my mind was when I said, if I can sit back here for this long until somebody finally figures out, maybe I can do this. Maybe I belong.
Be here. Be
Yeah.
in the big time.
Yeah.
Be on a bigger stage.
Yep. So that's when I really got it in my mind that I was going to start trying. I think I had a conversation with somebody one point and from WWF because somebody contacted somewhere and they called me and I had them and they were like, well, how old are you? And I told them, and they're like, well, how big are you? I was like, oh, I'm 6'6" or so. And they're like, how much do you weigh? And at the time it was like 210 pounds. I went, 210. Have you ever done anything?
Yeah.
And I went, no. And they're like, maybe you should do some stuff, without actually saying it. And this is back before all the, testing and whatnot. And I was like, oh, okay. And so that was kind of the end of the conversation. And then that's when I really started looking for different avenues. Again, met Al Snow at an autograph convention thing. He was like, okay, I'm going to try to help you out if I can. And then that's when the whole TNA thing came about. And like I said, March 24th, and went and had my match, and they offered me a contract. And I was like, let's go. I think it took 10 minutes, didn't read the contract. The only thing I said was like, hey, I'll drive up from Dallas. Will you guys give me a couple $100 extra? And they're like, sure. And just wrote it into the contract. And
You're smart enough to do that. That's a 9-hour drive, you said?
9.5 hour drive. Yeah.
Did you, halfway through that run, were you like, maybe I should have taken the play?
Well, it actually worked out better for me because, so I asked for a couple $100 for driving. I said, yeah, absolutely. Which, because they didn't have to book a flight, didn't have to worry about it. And then we started doing Orlando. And I said, hey, I can't drive to Nashville, fly to Orlando, fly back to Nashville, then drive back to Dallas. Can I just fly from Dallas, Nashville, Orlando? Because that's when we were doing both, the Wednesday night, and then we'd fly to Orlando and tape on Thursday for the Friday Fox Sports Network show. And they're like, yeah, no problem. But they never took out the money.
Yeah,
so I had the money still in there, and now I wasn't driving.
Yeah, that's not carny shit, but it's like, as wrestlers, like that couple $100 like means the world.
Yeah,
yeah,
big time. It went from the X amount of pay, which is very it was okay. I remember I actually had a conversation with my dad driving home after I got the contract with TNA, and he'd always been a supporter, but he was never like, oh man, awesome, rah 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 type dad. He was always like, that's nice, son. Have you finished school?
Yeah.
Because he was just more worried about my education. I understand why. But my mom was always the one. She'd go to the shows and yell and scream and slap the other guys and stuff like that. She was into it, But I called him on the way home from TNA, and I was like, hey, Dad, I just want to let you know I got a contract with this company called TNA. And he's like, a contract? What does that mean? I was like, wow, they're going to have me come every week, and they're going to pay me pretty good money, and enough to live on? I was like, well, yeah, pretty much. And he was like, oh, my God. This is the first time I think he really started to see that maybe it could be something as a living rather than just a interesting hobby.
Yeah.
So he was actually kind of
But
excited.
you're such a big fucker, man.
But he was
how's
just
that surprising to anyone?
But it was just, it was my dad. He's just more worried about my future and my education. And again, he didn't know anything about professional wrestling. He just thought, okay, this is some hobby, because I'd played ball, and he just thought this was my next thing until I got out of it and went on to be a regular person in a regular life. And it wasn't, like I said, until I said, I've got a contract and they're going to pay me pretty decent money. And he's like, oh, wow, okay. And he started telling his friends, and magazines came out, and, I had one action figure in TNA. It was probably one of his coolest moments, because it actually had our family name. It was Lance Hoyt. Mm-hmm. So I think he collected as many as those he could, and, gave them to his friends and stuff like that. So that was kind of cool for me, because my dad actually became a fan then.
That's great. I do want to talk about this awesome run that you're having in Japan, but I guess I kind of compare my WWE stuff to some of the guys, and you were there. You tagged with Hawkins.
A blip.
Yeah, it's I guess I just kind of want to get your take on it a little bit. I was there for less than a blip. If you were there for a blip, I was there.
And I think I came in right after maybe you'd left at one time.
I think I was fired February of, I think we talked about this last time.
Yeah.
February of 2009. You walked in March of 2009, right?
Yeah, I did my tryout in March and then started at FCW in April.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I don't know, obviously it's pointless. I'm not looking for any bashing. Yeah, right?
I got you.
I don't know, do it again? Would you do it again? Not again now, but that time, do you look fondly on it? Do you question? Do you go back and say I have a lot of go backs and say man, maybe I should have done this then. Right. I guess, but ultimately I say it all, and I know you're a spiritual man. Right. It all leads to what the path I'm on now, which I love. Right. And I assume you the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it was one of those things, again, being at TNA for about 5 years at that point, 3 different name changes.
What was the third one?
Lance Rock with the Rock.
Lance Rock.
Me and Jimmy Ray, the Rock and Ray connection.
Of course,
Christy Hemme. But actually a lot of fun in that run, just because it was a goofy gimmick, but we had fun doing it. But anyway, 5 years with TNA, things had gone up and down, good and bad. They weren't really doing anything. I'd actually already started coming to Japan for some smaller companies, had my ending conversation with TNA while I was in Kawasaki, Japan, working for a tour with All Japan at the time. So WWE was just one of those things. It's well, maybe I should try. I should really try, because nothing's happening here. I think I have the physical attributes that they would like, so on and so forth. Literally went in to do my last taping for TNA, because they wanted to do this off the wagon challenge. Basically, if you had a match, if you won the match, you won the title or whatever the situation was. If you lost, you were gone.
I thought they'd bring in all the alcoholics of wrestling's past.
That would just be that would be a fun match to watch. I think people would actually pay to see that, just to see what happens. But literally, so on Monday taped that. On Wednesday, my contract went null and void with TNA. I had a friend, because WWE wouldn't talk to us directly at the time because of contracts, who talked to them for me and set up. So Wednesday contract ended. Thursday was in Tampa doing tryout stuff. Ran 3 matches back to back with 5-minute breaks, and then had me cutting promos. And I think they were just trying to test me and see what kind of attitude I had, because they'd already dealt with some TNA guys before that it didn't work out because of bad attitudes and things like that. And it went really well. God rest his soul, Dusty Rhodes was there, and he was a big supporter of mine. I think he's probably one of the good reasons. Luckily, I had made a lot of good friends, and I think them talking well for me is what got me my job more than anything.
But you didn't even have a scooch of, oh gosh, what do I do now? Right? It was Wednesday to Thursday.
Yeah, it was Wednesday. Well, I mean, when my friend had talked to whoever, I don't remember if it was Johnny or somebody else, maybe Ty Bailey at the time. And they were like, well, when does the contract end? And he was like, well, it's over on Wednesday. And they're like, can he just come to Tampa on Thursday? And my friend asked me, I was like, yeah, absolutely. I'll just change my flights. And because my flight home from Florida, taped on Monday, was supposed to go home on Tuesday.
Did you use their flight?
Yeah. I just changed my TNA flight to go home on Friday after in Tampa instead of out of Orlando.
Right.
And was on TV Thursday night, the same night that I'd done my tryout for TNA.
You were in that sweatbox.
Yep.
That's funny.
So, it was just, let's do it. Let's try, let's see what happens. As far as getting the job, it worked out. And then, I was in Florida at FCW for about 6 months before they brought me up to TV on ECW, but I didn't even know that I was going to be debuting. I just got a call like on a Saturday night, like, we need you for TV. But, they take guys up all the time to take a look at them, put them on the road, see how they do. And it wasn't until I was having a conversation with Joey Styles the morning of, he was like, oh, yeah, we'll get your profile information later. And I went, oh, I guess I'm debuting. And, went in that day and, actually Punk, a good friend of yours, had me stand up on the table and tell some really bad jokes, because I had no good jokes. And so it was fun for me because it was cool. It's like, all right, let's break the ice. Let's have a good time. And then I was standing in the ring with the kid I was working with that evening, which had been the third different kid that they changed to. Vince and Johnny are standing there looking at me. The building was empty because they're about to open doors, and they're talking. Johnny's like, kid, come here. I was like, what's up? We're cutting your hair. I had hair about the same length as it is now. I had about a 4 or 5 inch goatee braided. I had full leather jacket, an image that I think I'd kind of created and that I was being brought up for. And then they completely shellacked it. They're like, cut your hair, shave your face, take the jacket off, change your tights. It was everything. It was like
shrink 4 inches.
Became big guy number 3, and they took me in to see Vince, and Vince was like, oh, there it is.
He loved it.
He loved it. He was like, we're breaking you down so we can build you up. And I was like, I'm on TV tonight. They're like, yes. I was like, okay.
Right, of course, whatever.
Yeah, I was like, whatever we need, I'll do this. I'll make it work. But thinking about now, I don't know that I thought of it legitimately, but I think it messed with me. It was one of the things. I had a mindset of who I was going to be and what I should be, and then all of a sudden it was gone. So
because you don't know you're going to be gone in 9 months or a year or whatever.
Yeah, and I think ECW was a good product for a lot of guys because it was an introduction to, I guess, their audience on a level that wasn't, you don't have to succeed at a Raw level or a SmackDown level. You just succeed at ECW level, and then we'll move you over. A lot of guys went through that. The Sheamuses, the Punks, and all those guys who started on their ECW product, and then they moved them on to bigger, better things with Raw and SmackDown and so on. And
essentially what they're doing now too, I guess.
Yeah, with NXT.
And you need that, right?
But then, it was their ECW product, and it only lasted for about 3.5, 4 months before they shut it down and started NXT. So I think for me, it was one of the things where I started with their product, and if I'd had a year or so on their product, maybe I could have found who I needed to be and so on and so forth, not as much pressure, all that fun stuff. And then that was gone, and then they started their NXT, and I was on the road for 3 or 4 months doing nothing, and then they tagged Hawkins and I, and the original idea was we were going to have all these vignettes filmed and showing us coming and all that stuff, and then it turned into, oh, never mind, just go work a dark match tonight.
Just go behind.
Oh yeah, you're debuting on Superstars tonight, and it's like, that doesn't, even the best fans or the worst fans can look at that and go, guys are debuting on Superstars. We're not supposed to care.
Right.
And then, but we're just trying to make the best of the situation. And actually Hawkins had pitched that idea for him and I when I first arrived there with the company in Florida. Kind of a Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels-esque type of
he
thing.
He loves Kevin Nash.
Yeah. So, and they at that time were like, no. And I remember when they were putting us together, I didn't even know he was on the road. And he sends me a message like, hey man, he's like, remember that idea I pitched a year ago? And he goes, yeah. I was like, yeah. And he's like, oh, they're doing it tomorrow. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
They just found the paper. They just found the email.
It became their idea, not his idea. And that's when it was okay.
Okay, and then I guess as closing, you've really, I think the point is you found a home.
Yeah,
New Japan.
Well, again, very lucky because this business a lot of times is the relationships you make, not necessarily the stuff you do in the ring sometimes, but the people that and their willingness to help you beyond into the next level, and
almost a lesson not to be a jerk to everybody also, right?
Yeah. And the relationships I'd made coming to Japan 2011 to 2009 helped that. And then even some people, Johnny even actually sent an email for me to the New Japan office and whatnot. And they didn't, at the time, I think, didn't really know who I was. They just all of a sudden heard, oh, this guy, he'd worked some stuff in Japan. He'd been at TNA, he'd done some WWE stuff. We'll give him a look and a shot. And so they scheduled one match in June of 2011. I was going to debut in Osaka. And then they were like, oh, well, in May of 2011, they came and did an East Coast tour. They did 2 shows in New York and 1 in Philly. The New Japan did. It was all New Japan. They're like, oh, can you come to Philly so we can film some stuff for your debut? And I was like, oh, absolutely. So they flew me in and whatnot. But when I got to Philadelphia, all of a sudden, like Hattori and I met face to face, and it was like, oh, we know each other. He's like, I know you, man. I was like, oh, yeah, I know you. I remember you. I'd met him a few times. And then, I'd worked with Kojima and stuff before in All Japan and whatnot. So a lot of the relationships I didn't know I already had. And I think that helped that process when they're like, oh, okay, we know this guy already. And I met Gato, the guy who's the booker for New Japan, and he really liked the look and the image and all that stuff, obviously. So, well, not obviously,
So
but
please shave your face, cut to your hair.
please change everything now. And those relationships, I think, just helped. And then it went from just going to be working one show to, oh, can you stay another week and a half? We have like a 6-man tag team tournament thing. And I was like, absolutely,
And I mean, do you feel like you found yourself as a wrestler?
Absolutely.
Yeah, like not as weird, but like I think there's a lot of people who might remember Lance Hoyt or even Dallas.
Hoytomania, baby.
Yeah,
Hoytomania was running wild, brother.
And I think the good thing, the good and bad thing is that like there's a lot more access, but there's not as much access as there was to when you were Dallas.
Right.
To just see the transition you
Right.
made as a wrestler, I think how far you've come.
Yeah.
And so I think hopefully it gives people to go on and check out some of your new stuff. And,
Yeah.
I mean, would you recommend stuff like? Is there stuff out there that is accessible?
As far as old stuff? Or?
No, new stuff that like, hey, this is what I do now.
Absolutely.
I don't have a no, I was gonna say a cowboy. What'd you wear as Dallas? I don't remember.
Well, actually, when I first came to New Japan, they wanted kind of a Stan Hansen-esque type character. They were like, they wanted the cowboy hat and the vest and all that stuff. And it's like, well, I was like, I'm not a cowboy. I mean, I'm not going to wear boots and I'm not going to wear Stetson and things like that.
Seems like they love that.
Yeah. Well,
everyone's trying to
Stan has such a memory here. I mean, he's been on this Misawa tour that we've had now. And I was like, okay, can I make it my own kind of rockabilly? And got a black hat and bent the brim all up and put metal studs on it and ultimately put a little horn on it. And instead of wearing like a cowboy-esque vest, I took an old biker jacket and had the sleeves cut off, and I was wearing that and kind of made it Stan Hansen, but more motorcycle gang Stan Hansen, So that's what they wanted. So I gave them a little bit of what they wanted, but also a little bit of me. And I think the biggest thing that people ask is, what has Japan done for me? And I think it's helped me find a confidence I didn't have. If I didn't have the confidence I have now in who I am and what I'm actually supposed to be, I wouldn't be doing, I think, as well as I've been doing here in Japan. And I really wish, it's one of those things you talk about regrets and whatnot. I wish this would have come before I went to WWE, because I think if I knew what I know now and how to be and could stand my ground the way I will now, going into that company, it would have been a much better, stronger run, because I could have said, that's not me. I'm not doing that. If you want something successful, this will be successful. And again, either they would go, okay, go make it successful. And if I did, then they'd be like, oh, that's great. Good thing we thought of it. Or they would, get rid of your ass.
But then also know there's that side where they go, "Who's this guy to talk?"
Exactly. Yeah, but you know how they are. It's sometimes you got to kick their door in and go, "No, I'm doing this," and they go, "Oh, okay, yeah, go do that." And then if it's successful, they love it and they think it's their idea and they tell everybody it is. But either way, you run with it. And if you don't, then they go, well, "You're the dumbest ass in the world. Get out." It's you make or break. Either do it or don't. And back then, I think when I was there, I was just trying to fit in. And now, I said with Japan, the one thing, like when I got here, they were like, "Oh yeah, that was good, but we want more monster, bigger, more monster, more strong. Do this." And it was never less. Don't do that. Stop doing that. Which I think I heard a lot of before in the other companies. And here it was like, no, that's great, but more.
That's a nice feeling.
More. And it was like, okay, I'll give you more. I'll do more. I'll be bigger. I'll be stronger. I'll be more of a monster. And with that, I gained a confidence in being, I think, who I probably always should have been in the business.
That's great.
Yeah.
And you're doing it.
I'm trying.
You're doing it.
I'm working.
Yay. Where you at? Yay.
That's about as excited some of the fans get.
No, that was real excitement. For real. I'm excited. I like it. Where you at on the internet?
You can obviously follow the Twitter accounts, the at Lance Hoyt /Archer. My Facebook page is public, but it's, mostly just for the promotional stuff of wrestling, and it's Lance Hoyt, very simple stuff. Instagram, lhoyt77. But I don't have anything else. I don't know any of the other ones.
And you take bookings when you're in America too, right?
Yeah. Actually, I worked a show the day before I came to Japan on August 7th or whatever, before I left. And then when I get home, as soon as I get home,
August 7th, no.
Yeah, this tour. Or excuse me, what is?
I think we're in June.
June, sorry. I'm like, the months are running together now.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry. June 7th, before I came over here, I worked a show the day before I left, and then as soon as I get home, I'm working a show. There's in Austin, Texas, called Inspire Pro. We've had some conversations about that one.
A certain somebody there who's not one of my
You're a big fan. You're a huge fan. Don't lie.
Not one of my friends, apparently.
But anyways, but the day after, on Sunday, I drive down to Austin and work that show. And then, Jeff Jarrett's GFW stuff started up now, and I'll be working with Harry.
Will I be seeing you in September in Iowa?
No, I don't think so. And the September that I'm working right now is
July
Texas.
9th.
No.
Well, we're not.
I will see July 12th in Houston.
Nah.
No?
Oh, yeah, that.
okay.
Yeah, for Clutch City, of course.
Nah.
I thought
you're like, nah, I'm not going to that one. I'm not going to that one.
No, I'll be there. Clutch City Productions.
No. Yeah, the July 12th in Houston, Texas. We'll be doing that one together. But yeah, the GFW stuff, I'll do some stuff in August with them. And then late September, they're doing a Texas tour. And I'll be doing that. And that's literally like we're coming for a NOAA tour and coming home from the NOAA tour on September 23rd, and then the September 25th in Corpus, we have this first show of the 3-show tour for GFW.
You got to do it. That's what we do. We're wrestlers, man.
Yep. So
we're wrestlers.
Trying to stay out there, trying to stay busy. A lot of Texas stuff just because I'm there, and it's not oversaturated. I usually show up once a month or once every few months for a different company, so the money's still pretty decent. And I get out and I'll be doing some. There's a show in Vegas called FSW that I'm doing on the 28th of this month when I get home, and trying to stay busy. I think July 4th weekend's the only weekend I'm not working right now, so I might just try to relax and chill on that weekend.
Hey, you celebrate America, right?
I will celebrate America.
Celebrate America.
And all the insane, gender changing, race changing situations that are happening in America right now.
You're all right with that, though, right?
I don't care. I just think it's funny how America freaks out about it.
Okay.
I don't care.
Don't end this with you being like the weirdest.
No.
racial.
I'm saying it's great, but I just think it's funny how the rest of the country has such a amazing fit over these situations. Like, let them be. If they want to be who they want to be, who cares?
Of course.
But everybody else seems to care. Or Kim Kardashian's ass. I don't know.
They want to care about something. We have passion, us Americans.
We do.
All right, I appreciate you being on.
Thank you, man.
All right, if you check out on my Vine account, yes, I still have a Vine account, and I like Vine. I enjoy Vine a lot. I got Lance on there getting down, dancing, like real club-style dancing. I don't know if it fits him or his body or his personality, but he can do it. It's one of those secret hidden tricks. I don't have any. I wish I did. That's like talent show shit. He could do that at the New Japan Christmas Party talent show. Me? At the NOAA Christmas Party talent show? I don't even know what I could do. I could probably make out with an 80-year-old grandma. That's a talent. It's a talent that I seem to have these days. All right, very fun to have Lance on the show. Before we get out of here, let's get into some plugs and
Upcoming events.
All right, the best way that you can support, ColtMerch.com, DigitalColt.com. I got a Twitter and an Instagram at Colt Cabana, my Facebook /AOW podcast. I'll put up the songs of the week, put up some other fun stuff too. My email, ColtWrestling@gmail.com, very public. Maybe you're a promoter, want to put me on your upcoming show or convention. CutMyPromo.com is my YouTube series. Please go check out those. It's a playlist. You can watch all of them. ColtCabana.com. That's got my P.O. box on there, and it's brand new and it's fun. You can listen to each episode straight from the homepage on ColtCabana.com. Upcoming Thursday, July 9th, that's tonight, Appleton, Wisconsin, GlobalForceWrestling.com. Friday, July 10th, Waterloo, Iowa, NWHOF.org, the National Wrestling Hall of Fame. A lot of festivities, a lot of big names going to be over there. Saturday, July 11th, New Albany, Indiana, Facebook /Round Peg Promotions. Sunday, July 12th, Houston, Texas, ClutchCityProductions.com. Friday, July 17th, Marionette Park, Illinois, AAWrestling.com. Saturday, July 18th, Clinton Township, Michigan, XICWDetroit.com. July 25th and 26th, The Gathering of the Juggalos, Thornville, Ohio, JuggaloGathering.com. Thursday, July 30th, Dallas, Texas, that's the comedy show, DallasComedyHouse.com. Friday, July 31st, I'm hosting the podcastmovement.com in Dallas, Texas. And August 7th through the 31st, Edinburgh, Scotland. Ticket information is on ColtCabana.com, but you can grab tickets to the comedy show, thestand.co.uk, and every Sunday, wrestling for insanewrestling.co.uk, and a podcast beforehand with some very funny comedians and wrestlers joining on board. That is the show for this week. Big thank you to you at home for listening, as always. Thanks to Lance Hoyt /Lance Archer /Vance Archer, not /Archer, the TV show, for being on the show this week. Thanks to Cable Guy Jeff and Stu Stone, Kid Russell, Matt Jenkins on the music, Dane Miller with some tech. Sponsors, highspots.com, hundreds of full-length titles available to download, plus all the $5 wrestling titles, AMA knee pad, gear, wrestling ring, Jake Manning is up on highspots.tv now talking to all the $5 wrestling stars. A free get-to-know-you interview. They're very funny, actually. I watched one with Raider Rock. OneHourTees.com, who just moved into a bigger, badder store because you guys are so awesome and have helped really, really grow ProWrestlingTees.com. And that's where you can support your favorite independent wrestler by buying their shirts directly through this website. Tweakedaudio.com/Colt. The earbuds I use get over 30% off free shipping just because you listen to the show. All right, we're done. We're done for the week. Summer, guys, I've told you I try to be a summer boy, but it's been, I don't know where you're living, but this is a fake summer. The way I do it is like, Chicago summers are the best. And for the past 3 years now, I've chopped off the end of it. I've chopped off August because I go to Scotland and it's just cold over there. So I got to get in my Chicago summer, June and July, and it's just cold. It's just not a lot of bike riding. Can't do the bike riding. Can't be outside. Can't enjoy a summer. Oh, I'm trying. Get nice out there. Let me ride my bike around. No more crying for me. All right, I'm out of here. This has been The Art of Wrestling. For Colt Cabana, I'm Colt Cabana. Thanks. Who would you say is the dirtiest wrestler on the Texas scene?
I'd have to go with the guy who showers the least, and that's the Dirty Andy Dalton.
Oh, I've heard he doesn't shower that much.
Not at all.
Yeah, poor guy.
Stinks.
Ugh. Well, maybe that'll be his new character. Like the guy from Peanuts. No,
that is his character all the time.
Oh, yeah.
He's just dirty.
Poor guy.